Very good evening, and today I'd like to introduce my guest. He's a writer and a coach by passion, and he's a finance and strategy professional. Let me hear more from him. It's Vivek today. Thank you so much, Vivek, for coming down.
Thank you, Vamsi, for inviting me. I think it's it's such a great initiative you're taking up, and I'm very happy to be part of this.
Great,
and I really hope that this goes on to be something which can really change the world as you want to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm really hopeful that this is one step in that direction.
Great. Thank you so much.
You mentioned finance. Yeah, so I think it's pretty much summed it up well. It's writer. And so I would say it's a writer and coach by passion, which is what I am right now. By occupation, I am a finance and strategy professional, which is what I do full time, a 9-to-5 job at this point in time, at least. And I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. That's my education. So I started off my career in that field, and for a long time, that was what I wanted to do with my life. And it's only been this year where I made a very dramatic pivot into this line, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little later. I'm still in finance, and finance is still something I truly enjoy, but I feel like coaching and writing, writing books in relation to coaching, self-improvement, happiness. I feel that's what my true passion is and my true love is, and that's something I would like to explore much more in the future, in the years to come.
Great. I think we'll get into it in a bit, but you're from Bangalore, I think. Just so that everybody knows. So tell me about where you grew up and where you went to school.
Sure. So I've been in Bangalore pretty much all through my life. I was born and brought up there. I did my primary schooling in Bangalore. I spent most of my childhood there. I did 2 years in Mumbai, where I went to Cathedral and John Connon. I did my ISc there. Post which I moved back to Bangalore and I pursued my BCom and my chartered accountancy. And so I did both together. So I was, I was that typical CA student who didn't have much of a college life, because I was, balancing BCom and CA and an articleship which is required to do CA. I was working, I was working with ENY. So it was all together, and that was a very trying time for me.
How were you as a student? Were you very studious, or?
I was really not initially. Growing up, I think my parents thought something was wrong with me. Mentally, I think they had an issue with that. But it was not that I had a problem with it. I think I just didn't have the will to study. I just couldn't see the big picture. It's so unfortunate, right? As a child, if you could, today, if I could go back to my childhood with the perspective I have today, I feel like I would take my education a lot more seriously. The stuff like geography, the names of rivers, history, I just didn't bother. For me, it was, getting through that exam, and that's about it. The big picture was lacking. I feel that perspective is, it's so unfortunate that we don't get to see that when we're young.
Same here. I was a horrible student. So then how did you end up choosing where you went?
So it was a bit of a turbulent time for me. I think somewhere around the 7th, 8th grade, I kind of got this inner realization saying, I have to be serious about my life. I think my parents did have a conversation with me, which they claim to deny and they don't remember, but it's something which is etched in my memory. Maybe I dreamt it, I don't know. But a conversation which kind of made me realize that, while family and people around you are there for you, people you love are there for you, ultimately, it's your journey, your personal journey.
Absolutely.
And, whether you succeed or whether you fail is completely up to you, right? So I think that realization really pushed me to the point where I said, I have to do something with my life. And that kind of made me more studious. I literally overnight changed from being in the bottom rung of my class. I went to the top rung of my class, literally in a span of 1 year.
And that's pretty early on. It's like 8th grade, 9th grade is pretty...
So 10th grade, my transformation wasn't great. I think my real transformation happened when I moved to Mumbai in my 11th and 12th. And, thereon, there was no looking back. I had a phenomenal teacher, worth mentioning. Her name is Mrs. Wadwa. She was my accounts teacher. I think she single-handedly changed my perception to education,
so like a good mentor.
She was a great mentor, a great teacher. She was an epitome of passion, dedication, sincerity. She taught me about hard work. She taught me about true grit, in succeeding. She was just remarkable, and I was very fortunate. I had dinner with her a couple of weeks ago. In fact, she was in Bangalore. So I met her after a good 6-7 years. We had a great evening together. So I think people like that coming into your life, at very particular times. I mean, not necessarily early on, but I feel more it's more to do with in that moment when you really need that paradigm shift in your life.
When you're ready to receive also.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're ready to receive and you need that paradigm shift without even knowing it. I think that's when having someone there is just great. You know, it just changes the way you think. It changes what you want. It changes everything about your life.
Absolutely. And it's important to identify who can be a good mentor to you also, because quite often I don't know if people do realize when they are in touch with a mentor also if they should really, you know, grow on that.
No, I also think it's more the other way around. I think the mentor is the one who kind of assesses who can be someone that he or she can truly make a difference to, you know. And because I don't think as when we are young and, you know, when we are naive, I don't think we have that perspective to pick a mentor. But I think the mentor sees a spark in someone, and then they go after them, saying, you know, this person can do something. And then they kind of, I mean, I believe it's the mentor who makes the call and says, you know, I see a spark in this person.
Very interesting. I kept thinking always from the other side. But is that why you went into that profession?
Into the profession of CA? Absolutely. I remember in my 12th standard yearbook, my 12th grade yearbook when I was passing out, she wrote, her description for me was highly motivated, a budding chartered accountant.
Oh, nice.
And I think that kind of just summed it up for me. You know, I said I have to pursue this. My dad's a CA, even though he's never really got into the field extensively, except for the first few years. So he, you know, that was also a driving force. I was pretty sure I didn't want to do science. And you know, in India, back in the early 2000s, there were two options, right? There's science, commerce, and that's about it. If you're a guy, I mean, now I am so happy the world has changed, but back then that's what it was.
Still changing.
Still changing, still evolving, and I think we need another 10-15 years. India maybe a little longer to get there, but I'm sure we will.
So then thereafter you went back to Bangalore?
Thereafter I went back to Bangalore. I did my CA. I worked with Goldman Sachs. I was you know, overseeing their hedge fund. I was managing the, you know, the accounting side of it and the investment side of the hedge funds for US. And I left Goldman. I joined I spent a very brief amount of time, around a couple of months, with a startup where I was heading finance.
How did you end up getting there?
So that was an interesting journey. You know, I realized at some point that I did not want to stay back in a big bank like Goldman because I felt like I wanted to you know, have a larger impact on what I could, and I wanted to also be exposed to more of a business in its entirety. You know, I felt like I was becoming a specialist, which is good, but I felt like I was being I was being very micro in what I was looking at.
So like part of a bigger organization.
Yeah, I was just a cog. I was just a cog in a big wheel, right? So I wanted to do something where I can firstly see a lot more of a company and how a company truly works. And at the same time, I can also add, you know, derive value and see, you know, where my interest lies. But being exposed to a variety of fields within an organization and see, you know, what I like, what I don't like. So that kind of made me switch and say, you know, let me look at a company, a startup where I can look at more areas. I moved into this startup where I was heading their finance as well as their operations. That was very interesting because I spent 3 months there. They had no accounts, no MIS, nothing. So within my first week there, I just made a projected cash flow, and I discovered that they're going to go bankrupt in 90 days.
Oh, wow.
So I told the CEO, he didn't believe me. He's like, listen, you're new here, you have no idea what you're talking about. And sure enough, I think in 85 days odd, the company went bankrupt and all of us were forced to leave. So I started looking for a job again.
So your first like actual call in the market?
This was different. I mean, this was just me being really good at what I do, which I know,
like
I am.
Putting the facts
It was validation. It was validation for me. It kind of gave me that confidence that, hey, you know, I've studied this, I know it, I own it. You know, this is my domain.
I mean, sorry to say, for the guy who, I mean, didn't go by your advice, but you knew that what you predicted was right, and it actually added a lot of confidence for you.
Absolutely. I had immense confidence to me as a person. And you know, then I was looking for something else. I almost went to Myntra, and then I got First Source, which is where I'm working right now. And
Which one?
First Source.
First Source. Okay. Actually, I mean, before we get to that, I don't know if you saw this clip by Jack Ma, Alibaba guy. He actually says that, you know, from the age of 20 to 30, you should actually work.
Oh yeah, I've read about that.
You've read about it, yeah.
The decade concept, right? Between in your 20s you do that, 30s you do this.
Absolutely, and he actually does say that if you work in a bigger organization, your learning will be very minimal. Because you're not handling that much. You're just a small speck in the whole. Wow, so it's great that you actually did that on your own. Yeah,
subconsciously. I didn't really connect the dots, but that's a very good insight on that. So
then First Source
First source, I've done a whole bunch of things. I was, I was in M&A where we made an acquisition. Then I was in the CEO's office where I was looking at core strategy for my CEO.
Okay.
And now I'm in a corporate reporting and a combination of corporate reporting and strategy.
How nice. What are they into, First Source?
First Source is a knowledge process outsourcing company where we specialize in healthcare, telecom, and banking, BFSI.
Oh, wow.
We have our customers in the UK and different parts of the US.
Okay.
We deliver from a variety of locations. We're listed in India. So, it's very well known. It's a fairly big company with around $500 million odd on revenue.
How nice.
So, yeah, it's a very interesting experience. I'm really enjoying myself here because I feel like I've spent 2 years here, but in 2 years I've switched 3 roles within the company.
Oh, wow.
So
like literally.
Yeah, which is exactly what I wanted, right? I wanted to be exposed to a variety of functions before I decided this is what I want to do in my life.
How nice. So you're actually adding talents as you go, like, and in the same company. So it's it's great. I think great opportunity.
It's been a phenomenal journey. I'm very grateful to to be part of this.
So tell me the whole different part of your life.
Yeah, now. So that is I lead 2 lives is what I tell people, right? So that is one part of my life where I have high competence. I also have high passion for.
Okay.
But then there's the other part of my life which I recently discovered. When I was having a very long phone conversation with a very special friend.
Okay.
And I discovered when I was speaking to her that I have an innate passion for, or I have a lot to share. It was not passion, but I had a lot to share surrounding goals and happiness as a concept.
Okay.
So I challenged myself saying, Vivek, if you can write a book on goal achievement and goal setting and how to achieve goals, if you can write this book on finding balance and happiness in your life, if you can do that, then that there's something in this for you.
But right? How did you get to that though? Like what provoked you to?
So I was having a conversation with her one day, and she was, we talk about a lot of very, very diverse and random, and sometimes
I have some friends like that too, where we just talk the most random stuff.
It just goes into something you don't even realize how it went into that, right? So she asked me a question on happiness or balance or goals, on something of that sort. Okay. And I remember I gave her like a 10-minute long answer, and at the end of it, she was like, "Wow, you really
like a snap.
You really have a lot to say." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is a topic which is very close to my heart because I always live my life with that mindset where I'm always trying to improve myself, and I just didn't really put a name to it." And
oh wow,
I did that, and then I said, okay, if I can write a book on it, then there's something to it, right? So for the next 20 days, I actually sat and wrote down a book.
Oh wow, like.
Bang on. Yeah, not continuously. I had my day job and everything.
But that's when the thought came.
That's when the thought came in. And in those 20 days, I wrote my book, my first book, which is being published in late November, is what I'm expecting.
Congrats on that.
Thank you so much. So that was completely on goal achievement and goal setting. So and finding balance, in bespoke activities that are human.
So it's like, wait, they're like 2 different topics, right?
Yeah.
Goal setting and achievement versus
finding balance. So it's about finding balance between various multiple goals. It's about how a human can set a variety of goals and pursue them simultaneously. There's a very common belief that you can only do one at a time.
Misconception.
Yeah, it's a misconception. You can only do one at a time. You can't pursue multiple things. I don't agree.
And if you do try multiple things, you're not
fail
going
at
to
everything.
Yeah.
But there's a way, there is a degree of prioritization, of course, which is a short-term concept within the overall scheme of things, which I've covered in my book very clearly.
Okay.
But I feel like over a period of time, if you look at a bunch of goals, it can be achieved altogether. I think that if you're only achieving one thing at a time, life's too short.
Life's too boring too.
Life's too boring and short. Yeah, absolutely. You have to be pursuing multiple things. You have to have multiple things going on in your life. I think the primary reason I would recommend multiple avenues in your life is because in life, sometimes situations are beyond your control.
Sure.
If you're focusing on only one thing and that one thing is beyond your control, there's a very high tendency of you going into depression or or losing your motivation.
That's the whole talk about don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Too.
It's like an investment thesis, right? Absolutely. You diversify so that when things are going wrong somewhere, you focus on what's going right in other areas of your life.
Sure.
Thereby, you are still a content individual overall.
But wait, what you're saying is like sounds so easy, sounds great for like to tell someone like I am working on multiple things, but like how do you train your mind to do something like that? So what goes into the homework, right? Like what goes into the practice, what goes into the
I love the question.
Hard work,
I love the question. This is exactly the question I asked myself. When I was writing my book, I said, Vivek, you're writing all these wonderful things, but these are all, like any self-help book, it's a lot of theory. How do you bring in the practicality? So I did 2 things differently. In my book, firstly, I made it very conversational. I didn't, a typical self-help book is a lot of preaching where one person just saying, do that, do this, this will get you there, right?
Yeah.
I try to keep it very casual. So if if you actually look at my book, you'll see that it's extremely candid, very casual. I haven't tried to flouse it up with English, with fancy English. It's very simple.
It's like having a conversation.
Exactly. It should be like I am sitting there talking to you when you read my book.
Yeah.
And the second thing I've done in a little differently in my book is I have laid out activities as you read along. So
how nice.
when I talk about a concept, I actually ask you a question and I leave a little empty space in my book so you can actually reflect on your own life and you can put that concept down there.
How nice.
And you can, so as we move along the journey of my book, you'll be moving with me in the journey. So there's a lot of empty pages throughout my book where the reader can actually write their thoughts surrounding the concepts we're talking about, right? So that way, as you read the book, it's not going to be like a quick 2-hour read.
It's like thought-provoking,
yeah,
helping you make like, take action.
Absolutely. It's going to make you introspect to a level, which is exactly what.
So do you have like modules or something where people can like apply that?
Yes, I've created a few modules in my book. I brought it in terms of tools. I call them tools. I said these are the tools you can use in your life to deal with achieving goals. So I've spoken about each tool in isolation, and I've brought in an exercise on that tool, and then I've spoken about how they all come together, which is my last chapter where I talk about how everything we look at comes together in one place.
So like if you've cracked that and like you're like sharing it to like the world at large, obviously you have like many experiences that led you to put it on paper, right? So tell me more about that.
So I want to dispel a very common myth again, just another myth here, that there is a lot of correlation between age and experience. I don't agree.
Wow.
Okay, so I believe that age, while it could be a factor because it's a very rational assumption that the more time you spent on earth, which is your age, the more experiences you're likely to have, which are valuable, right? But I don't agree with that. It depends on the circumstances and situations you're willing to put yourself in each time. If you're willing to grow at a rate that it's unprecedented, then at 28, 29, you can learn a lot more than a 40-year-old can learn. I truly believe that.
Especially today.
Especially today, when there is so much opportunity, the world is fluid, the market is fluid, jobs are fluid. You can be anything you want to be. I can be a CA yesterday. I can be a coach today. I can be an author tomorrow. I can be an artist day after.
Absolutely.
And no one's going to say anything, right? Because the world is so fluid now. It's completely fluid.
And knowledge is, I think, still to a very large extent free.
Knowledge is free. Absolutely.
In the sense, like you rightly said, and it's so amazing that you said that, because I always argue with people about respecting people with age versus respecting people with experience. Always respect people with age. Okay, that's like, you got to do it, you do it anyway. But age is just a number.
Absolutely.
The experience is what matters. Like, respect the experience that a young person has also.
Absolutely.
I think yeah, it's so
I think
amazing.
No experience is bad experience, and I also believe that there is something to learn from everybody. You know, when you look at a 5-year-old, you may think there's nothing much to learn, but you see the way they look at life.
Absolutely.
The simplicity with which they look at life, there's so much to learn.
Absolutely.
I speak to my grandfather, my grandmom, my granddad, who are like, in their 80s.
Yeah.
They have a perspective about how the world has changed, which is so interesting to hear, because that gives you so many ideas about what you can do and what the world has become and what it's expected to become based on just the propensity of change, right? It's so interesting to understand that. So I feel like there is always something to learn. You just have to look.
So it's like, tell me more about the 5-year-old learning experience, because I had something similar to. I want to hear.
No, so I mean, I haven't had a very profound experience per se, but I've seen a lot of people growing up. I've seen my cousins growing up. I've interacted with kids who are much younger than me. Yeah. For example, I used to teach at this school called Parikrama, which is a school for the underprivileged. Okay. So there I used to teach 7th graders math. Okay. And I've interacted with a lot of kids who are much younger than that also, right? So I feel like their outlook on life is so innocent, and sometimes that's wonderful, because I feel like as adults we complicate our own lives for no reason, right? Absolutely. So I think going back to the basics, simplifying our lives, looking at things in a very black and white way, which is not really the way the world works to some extent, but sometimes looking at it that way is actually advantageous, is what I believe. It's like blank out all the negatives and just concentrate on the positives. Focus on what you want to focus on, because that's what's going to get you to your finish line, right? It's not the naysayers, but the people who are behind you that's going to get you to the finish line. So actually, the experience I had was with my nephew. My nephew, my sister's son, and Arav, and I learned so much from him while he was growing up. Just looking at him and taking it all in, right? Absorbing what life was around him as he saw it. Like the experience that he was trying to absorb in terms of not having a preconceived notion,
which we unfortunately start building walls around our minds as we grow up. So yeah, it's very interesting.
It's like the blinds, right? We build those blinds, and we're unable to look beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually want to, since you mentioned this, I do want to mention that there's a professor by name Carol Dweck.
Okay.
She's written a book. She's a Stanford professor. She's written a book called Mindsets.
Okay.
Which talks about 2 distinct mindsets that individuals may possess in varying degrees.
Okay.
I'm actually writing a blog post on this. It should be out, I think, next week.
Oh wow.
So it's called the fixed mindset and the growth mindset.
Okay.
So a person with a fixed mindset is somebody who has very fixed ideas on the world, and they don't believe that their abilities can evolve or change in any fashion.
Absolutely.
So they believe that their intelligence is fixed, their capability is fixed. It cannot be moved. It cannot be varied. It cannot be improved upon.
Yeah.
So that's one way to go. And then the others is the growth mindset, where you believe that your ability to improve is ever there. It's always there, right? So it depends on what you believe, and it comes out in very different ways. For example, a person with a fixed mindset will never be willing to challenge themselves, take a risk, because they are very insecure about their intelligence, because they think there's something to prove every time,
and they think there's a limit for everything.
Exactly. But the growth mindset, even if a person with a growth mindset fails today, they're not going to take it as something. They're not going to be very hard on themselves, because they're going to realize that
it's going to be
they
something
can improve
more
in the future and they can overcome failure.
Absolutely.
Whereas a person with fixed mindset is going to take it really hard, saying, I can't accept failure, because I am the same.
I should share this at this point. I think I would like to consider myself as a growth stage mind right now, but I was a very a fixed mindset, and I would think that if I even wanted to change, or if I saw someone with something better which I wanted to have in terms of qualities, in terms of behavioral skills, I used to think that I should not, simply because I was so fixed in my mind. I used to be like, I'm not going to change simply because this is who I was made. Okay, so I mean, I'm just sharing the kind of the close. I know what you're saying, because I was there, and I had multiple experiences which really broke me down as a person, where I start to relearn and unlearn and say, you know what, unfortunately didn't read this book. I'll definitely check that book out. But then I started to think about, okay, really adding more skills and adding more, how to best put it, attributes. I mean, your personality, your skills, which you can keep absorbing from life around you. There's so much happening around you. How best can you absorb the good skills, not the bad ones, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So I should definitely read that
my book isn't out yet. It'll be out in November. So when
it's in your book.
Yeah,
okay.
It's in my book. But
I thought it was in that Mindsets book.
No, Mindsets is a different book, but that's a great book. That's something you should definitely read.
Wow.
It's a read I would strongly recommend.
Yeah.
But I've also referred to it in varying degrees in my book.
Okay.
To gather certain concepts, you need to understand how the mind truly works. I've done a lot of research on how the brain works.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's a very important element to coaching.
Yeah, let's jump into that. Balance of mind. I think that's the second part of your book, right?
Yeah. So there are 2 parts. So actually it's interesting, right? So my first book is very externally focused. It's very externally oriented. It's about how to balance multiple goals in your life, how to achieve multiple goals in your life, and find balance among the various activities needed to get to that finish line, right?
Okay.
So my second book, which I'm working on right now, and that hopefully that'll be out sometime next year, it's the other side of the same coin. So I'm talking about the internalization of happiness, and how while going forward and achieving goals is one way of going about it, but the manner in which you do that and how you feel internally throughout that process.
Wow.
So the second book is very internally focused, so that that book is deeply introspective. I really like the way my second book is looking. At least as a draft right now.
Very nice.
But so I think that I believe if somebody reads both the books put together, the perspective is extremely holistic. You get a complete
it's quite
view
wide.
You get a view of the external world and how you're going to go about achieving goals. At the same time, you get a view of how you should be looking at yourself inside, because I feel like a lot of what we see is our perception of it. It's not reality. Like, events around us are neutral. It's what we make of it that make it positive or negative. That's a very subjective human perspective.
It's what's in here at the end of the day, right? I actually read your blog. I even texted you after reading that. It changed the way,
you're talking about the emotions.
Emotions, right? Absolutely. It's what's inside. I can take reference from that, saying, make sure you have your internal emotions or internal feelings under control in terms of immaterial of what's happening externally. Wow. So how did that whole like thought process start?
So when I was writing my second book, I did a lot of research. I was trying to figure out what is the best way to deliver, to spread the knowledge. The goal was at that point was to spread the knowledge. I had no intention of getting into life coaching. That was not my intention.
Okay.
So that came about when I realized that beyond a point, I can't write everything.
Okay.
There are things which I have to tailor to people, to specific people with specific challenges.
Sit across and
there are,
share.
there are, no matter, even the best book in the world on self-help is not going to do 100% of the job.
Because you know why? Because missing that personal touch though.
Yeah, and every person is different. Right? You can't write a one-size-fits-all for something like the human brain. Human brain is the same organ, but it's different in each of us.
Absolutely.
The way we use it, the way it operates, the way it behaves, there's certain patterns which are similar, yes, but it's completely subjective. And the other very interesting thing I've understood is on self-help, right? There are two aspects to it. There's one aspect which is understanding the concept intellectually. Like for example, if I tell you, every emotion you experience is nothing to do with the world, but it's to do with your perception of the world, right? You may be like, okay, that's very profound, and you may actually understand what I'm saying to you. But intellectually,
it's very hard to.
When you actually put yourself in that situation where you have an external circumstance which is upsetting you in some way, to actually implement that knowledge at that moment in time into your life is so difficult, right? That's why coaching is so important. I feel like.
So what do you do?
So I coach people. I help them with the struggle, right? So I coach them on a variety of things, whether it's business, which is one angle of what I do, whether it's overall life, where I talk about relationships in their life, how to be. So if it's for coaching is for somebody who is really good but wants to get better. I think that's how I would define it.
What if someone's bad?
If someone's bad, I can work with them too, but they have to want to get better. But and the first step is I will convince them that they are really good, right? Because again, what is good and bad is how you think about it, right?
Absolutely.
So my first job as a coach would be to convince them that they are really good, because the fact that they are coming to me and wanting to improve makes them really damn good, right?
Absolutely.
By default.
Or at least they want to change from wherever they are.
Absolutely.
So that's a start.
That's a start, right? Because either you do it out of a place of, that's a very interesting concept. I want to talk about that. It's about scarcity and abundance.
Okay.
But
what is that?
So scarcity and abundance. Okay, that's a very interesting concept. It's so it's like this. I believe that when you set a goal from a place of scarcity, from a place of not having something, right, and you chase after something, what happens in that situation is you associate the goal to happiness, because or a happy emotion, some emotion.
Or you think, okay, once you reach that goal, I am going to attain happiness.
I am going to be happy. I am going to be fulfilled. I am going to be great. Whatever that goal is, right? So I feel like that is a very dangerous method of goal setting, and I've spoken about this briefly in my book as well.
Okay.
And the reason for this is because the second you start doing that, you are ceasing to enjoy the journey. You are putting the goal in the destination.
Because you're so obsessed with reaching your goal.
So two things happen, right? First thing is you stop enjoying the journey, because you're always forward looking forward to something in the future.
You're not living in the present.
You're deferring happiness. You're saying that I'm going to be getting happiness in the future, and I'm going to sacrifice it now, right? Which is why the whole concept of you got to sacrifice something today to get something wonderful tomorrow. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to apply only to scarcity, like to start with, right? Like you don't have to be in a situation where you're having some sort of scarcity to reach a goal in the first place. You don't have to,
which is the point, which is what I talk about. So goal setting from a place of scarcity is where you chase after the goal. The problem with doing this is, firstly, you are deferring happiness because you're pushing happiness to the future. And the second thing is, when you start the scarcity mentality, it's very difficult to get out of it. So assume for a second I set a goal to get to X and I reach X. Right? You would think I would be happy. But I wouldn't, because I still have the same scarcity mentality. So I would look at the next person and be like, oh, that person has X plus 2. So then I say, okay, my goal is now X plus 2. So instead of finding happiness at X, I'm always in pursuit of happiness.
So it actually happened.
Finding it.
It actually happened to me, Vivek. I was working on some goal that I had recently, and I was like going mad about it. I was like, because the gestation period was too long, and while I must say I did enjoy the journey, it was I was running behind the goal in terms of, okay, if I achieve that, I think maybe I'll attain a state of happiness, or I will feel more relaxed compared to what I am right now. And then that happened, and then there was something else.
There's always something else, right? So it's a mentality, right? The beauty of it is the scarcity mentality is so ingrained in us, especially living in India, where we grew up in an environment where things were scarce, right? I mean, maybe not for us specifically, but when we look around at the overall society, it is scarce, right? We see money is scarce, time is scarce. These are the two, and these are universal. It's not like it's somebody has abundance of it. We see resources being scarce. For some people, they say food scarce. So we always grow up assuming that everything is scarce.
And you have to achieve something to be happy.
Absolutely.
I think that's one, I don't know, worldwide or maybe in India, I don't know specifically, but ever since we're like trying to like grow up or learn, we always are told that, okay, if you do this, you will be rewarded, or if you do that, and then you'll be happy. I think fundamentally
we are taught to believe that the destination matters more than the journey. Right? We're taught to believe that the outcome is more important than going through the process of it, and that to some extent is also the education. Right? Look at the education we have. We have exams which are outcomes, and no one really talks about the preparation. No one really talks about enjoying that. Everyone says you got to pass your exam and that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
So we grow up with that same mentality. We take it into work, wherein we're competing with other people for the same promotion, for the same job. So it's
that actually destroys the journey of learning.
Absolutely.
Which is actually supposed to be lifelong.
Absolutely. It destroys the journey of learning, and it creates this. I spoke about this in one of my recent blog posts. It creates an I win, you lose mentality. We assume that for somebody to win, somebody else has to lose. Right? Because in school, only one person can be first in an exam. In a job, only one person can be promoted in a team, right? If I'm with a colleague and we are at the same level, only one of us can get to the next level.
And then actually, nowadays you see posts like online saying that each person has their own journey. It's actually literally telling us that whatever we live, I mean, say 29, 28 years of our lives, it's actually telling us not to believe in what we learned till now. Saying that, okay, you make your own journey now.
So it's a very famous quote, right? Forget everything you think you know. It's not even what you know, it's what you think you know.
Think you know, absolutely.
Right? So I think that's very important to, it's a very fundamental part of the growth mindset we spoke about, right? Because that is the only way to get to the next level.
Absolutely. Unlearning and relearning, right?
Absolutely. I was reading something online, I think an influencer had posted that, the most damaging words is, that's how we have always done it. I think those are the most damaging words.
And that won't work.
Yeah, that won't work.
Follow up to that.
Absolutely.
I've heard that so many times.
It's very sad, especially with legacy companies. I'm sure you have a challenge with your family business. I'm sure you have at some point. Where people assume that things are tried and tested, and because things have worked in the past, they will continue to work in the future, and something which has not been tried in the past will fail. Right? So it's a very
so how do we train our minds to think in the new way or the growth way?
So you want to convert from a fixed to a growth. You just need to be very, very conscious of it, right? So it's all about a growth mindset. The fundamental premise is you should be willing to put yourself in positions where you are not comfortable. I think, there's another concept of people being in their comfort zone, right? And we often mistake being in our comfort zone for happiness, which is really not. Actually, being in our comfort zone is more of, we are comfortable in this place right now, but by being in that comfortable place, we will never be able to achieve anything more than we've already achieved.
You're not adding anything to your life.
Adding to your life, right? If we want to do something, if we want to get to a place that we haven't gotten to so far, we should be willing to do something we haven't done so far.
Absolutely.
Right? And without that comfort, if you're in that comfort zone, you will never be able to get to that place here. Because you're not willing to try new things.
I'm very open to trying new things, but I'm like petrified of a couple of things. Like, I know, like you did scuba diving, right? So like the last time I had an opportunity to do that, I was petrified. I was like, I'm not going to do this.
You know that I learned swimming. I tried learning swimming 3 times in my life. I was petrified of the water. I couldn't do it. That my parents sent me for swimming classes when I was 5, didn't work. When I was 10, didn't work. I think when I was 15, it finally worked. I think we try every 5 years, hoping something changes. So
and third time.
Third time lucky, right? At 15 it happened.
Yeah.
And I went scuba diving when I was 16 for the first time in my life. A year later.
Within a year,
Within a year. So I believe that, fears can be overcome.
Yeah.
It's all about, for me, when I talk about a fear, I always talk about the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I think that we always fixate ourselves on the worst case scenario, and, and we assume that that's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if there are 99 out of 100 times it will not happen.
Correct.
So we got to focus on that. We got to focus on the probability.
On the positive?
We focus on the positive. In this case, the probability, right? Because the odds of you doing something which is going to, if you're trying to do something which the odds are going to kill you, then you probably wouldn't want to do that. That makes rational sense. But if you're working at 99% success rate, I think that's good enough, right? You get more than that from life.
How important is it to like understand that, right? So it's like most of the time we will think of the worst thing that can happen and not do something, but we lose out on so much of experience, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you push yourself to overcome that thought, saying that okay, something good is going to happen and nothing negative is going to happen, basically?
No, so you shouldn't be going with that thought, because you can't know that something good is going to happen. You may try something and it may be a terrible failure for you.
Absolutely.
But I think how we can change that is we can tell ourselves that, hey, you know what, this is going to be something I've never done before.
Yeah.
And regardless of the outcome, there is going to be something I learn from this.
Some learning,
Yeah, and I think that's how you look at it. I think we should detach ourselves from the outcome, right? It's like even the Gita says the same thing. All the spiritual books, they always say, detach from the outcome, put in the effort, right, and see what happens. I feel it's all so connected, right?
Yeah.
What they say in the Gita and what we learn as life coaches, it's all the same, right?
So it's just learning, and I discussed that with someone just this morning, where I was like, I'm getting frustrated because, and this is like I started breaking down the whole action and all that. I was like, I'm concentrating too much on the outcomes. I was like, I am putting in the effort, but I'm getting like pissed off or unhappy because the outcome is not what I thought of or not what I expected. And I was, I think, taking myself back from not trying like I did because of the outcomes. So how, like, what can you tell me about that?
So the first thing I'll say is you mentioned something very interesting. You said the outcome was not what I expected, and therefore I felt
no expectations,
a negative emotion, right? So it's interesting that every emotion we feel is a result of the reality versus our perception of reality versus our expectation.
Yeah.
So it's not even reality versus expectation. It's our perception of reality versus our expectation.
Yeah.
So we have two ways of changing this.
Okay.
One is we change our perception of reality.
Okay.
Two, we change our expectations. It's very simple.
So this is another logic that I just thought of. Is I mean, I didn't think of it. I mean, it is just reminded of is that there can be like, I don't know, infinite possibilities, right? And you're in one of them, and that's the reality. So we have to align to that reality and not the infinite amount of other possibilities or other realities that could have happened.
Absolutely, right.
And
so
we just have to live
in
with that.
The moment. It's in that moment what you can do. Like the past is past. You can't argue with the past. You will lose because it's real. It happened.
Yeah.
Right. So what's really interesting is in this moment, in this very moment, right? If I ask you to tell me about your life, and make it to seem like you were a victim throughout your life, you'll be able to do that, wouldn't you?
Perfectly.
Yeah. And then if I say, Vamsi, tell me about your life now, and make it seem like you were the hero in your life, you'll be able to do that too.
Yeah.
Right?
So absolutely. It can be what you want it to be.
It can be what you want it to be.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Right. So the past only exists in our current interpretation of it.
Absolutely.
The past doesn't exist.
So I heard about this, and it really changed my mind and thought about the past, which is so think of your past as a dead body or a dead person. Okay, and it's in your mind, and you keep thinking about it, and what happens to that dead body? What happens if you actually keep a dead body with you? It starts to stink. It rots, and that's exactly what keeps happening in your mind. Because what's happened is happened.
Well said. Very well said.
So I actually heard it from a counselor today. It was like a lot of learning today, by the way. So it's very interesting to meet you and learn even more. But I thought that really changed my perspective about the past.
Phenomenal. That's a phenomenal way of looking at it.
I said, oh my God. I mean, no matter what it is, I mean, keep the good memories, of course. But the bad ones, which we keep lingering about, thinking about, is like, really get rid of it. It's already happened. It's done. There's nothing you can do about it. So it's like, let it go.
No, absolutely. I think it's important, right? It's important to let it go, and I let my past go. I don't argue with it. I accept it. I've accepted it for what happens, but I haven't forgotten it, right? Because I don't think it's also good to forget about your past, because I feel like there are elements of your past which have made you wiser.
Absolutely, that's what is you, right?
It's a wisdom. It's the wisdom you have taken with you through your life, and that's made you the person you are. And I think it's important to accept that it's a part of you.
Yeah.
The experiences may have not been the best. They may have you may have really good and really bad experience. It'll be on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But everything that's happened since you can't argue with it, it's best to believe that it's happened to make you the person you are today.
So I actually wrote, like, I keep writing randomly. I'll share it with you after
please
this.
Do. I would love to.
And what I wrote was like, invest in a good past. And what I mean by that was what I meant by that was everyone keeps talking about invest in a good future, but your present is going to be your past, right? So like whatever you're going to do here on forward, be it future or the present, it is going to be your past one day, and that is going to be you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you are going to be your past. Like when you look back, all your experiences, wherever
everything you've done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where you invest your time. So it's like invest in a good present to have a good past. So basically, like trying to get at a very interesting concept.
And that brings up the perspective, right? The thing most people struggle with is they're living day to day.
Yeah.
Right. But taking a step back and, like you said, you look at your life very holistically. You bring in the macro perspective into your life. That's a game changer, right? Because that's where you see. I've been doing this, as an example, I've been doing this dead-end job for 10 years and I start wondering, what the hell am I doing? And then suddenly you wake up and you say, oh shit, this is what I need to do. I need to get out of this place. I need to do this. This is my macro vision, right? So that's exactly what happens to many people. They do a dead-end job all through their lives without truly knowing who they are, what they want to be, who they can be, what their potential is, what they love, what they hate. They have no clue.
Absolutely.
They're living, it's not wrong, I would say, to live that way. It's perfectly fine if that's what they do.
Yeah.
But my only problem with this is they don't do it by choice.
Yeah.
They don't choose to do it.
And they don't choose to take an action also for not
that's lack of, that's only ignorance. They don't spend time with their thoughts.
Yeah.
And I don't accept ignorance as a valid reason for not doing or doing something.
Yeah.
I believe that if you're ignorant, it's your fault. You got to get out of that ignorance.
Be aware.
Yeah, you have to be aware, whether that means talking to a coach, whether that means talking to people around you, whatever it is. Right, I feel like for the first 25 years of my life, I was ignorant. I was just doing what I had to do. I was getting through the motions, doing what people told me to do. From CA to this to that. I was just doing what I was
just following what was meant to.
I was following what a path which was already walked upon.
Wow.
And now for the first time in my life, I'm creating my own path.
But why do you feel that so deeply, so strongly?
Because I didn't make my own choice. See, I'm not saying what I did was wrong. I'm not regretting it. Don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is I didn't make the choices to do those things. It was not like, it was thrust upon me, but I didn't actively make a choice saying, Vivek, you are going to do this because you want to do this, because you love that. It wasn't that. It was just like, okay, I have science and commerce,
just living.
commerce. It's like I'm just making decisions to keep me moving one step forward. Yeah.
Occupied.
Keep me occupied. Moving one step forward every time. That's it. But I wasn't actively doing soul searching and saying, okay, my life is a white canvas.
Not living with passion.
Not living with passion. And painting whatever the hell I want on that canvas. I think that is the key. Not just saying, okay, it's either red, black or white, you pick one and you go that way. If I want to paint a blue, I paint blue.
Absolutely.
I pick any color.
Absolutely.
And I keep going. That is the journey we need to aspire for.
Yeah. And I think most people are trying to do that today.
Now they are.
Simply because of the way social media has exploded in terms of
don't get me started
awareness.
on social media. I don't like social media.
Okay.
Social media paints a picture where everyone is always happy, everyone is always successful.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
It brings out the instant gratification more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
It gives you that.
That's the whole business, right?
Yeah.
The whole business of. Anyway, let's not get into that
because
you don't want to. It's a totally.
It's going to be one of my book topics one day. Social media and why it is terrible. For happiness. That'll be my title if I ever write that book.
I actually waste so much time just, browsing. For me, it kind of adds so much of junk in my brain, but I somehow figure out a way how to put it to good use.
Okay.
So I'm still on it. I shouldn't deny that, but I'm trying to get out of it anyway. That's a different topic.
Social media is highly addictive, right? It's the chemical reaction is similar to smoking.
Yeah.
Right? The dopamine, the kick it gives you is just phenomenal. It's like nothing else. But the problem is it also makes you believe that everyone is always happy and people don't work for their success.
Absolutely.
And you see, it's like the iceberg theory. You see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So you think this is everything, but the iceberg is actually, the base, which we don't see on social media.
Absolutely. You went on the Leh Ladakh trip, right, recently. Were you on social media, on the phone and all that?
So the unfortunate or fortunate thing about my life now is because I am a life coach. I post it on social media.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to reach out to people.
It's good though.
So
it's like, yeah, you are reaching out to so many.
It's good for the people around me, but not so good for me because I'm always on social media now. But which I wasn't earlier, which was I was having a very happy life in that sense. I'm still happy, definitely, but I feel like you got to know the line, right? You got to know where you're being productive. Like in my case, where I'm being productive on social media, which is the extent to which I'm reaching out to people and being spreading awareness and trying to help people, and the point where I'm just being in a mindset where I'm just self-destruction, where I'm just trying to look for happiness in other people's lives and trying to feign happiness in my own life. And I think that's where.
So it's like a very very internally fine line, I guess.
It's a very fine line.
So how was the Ladakh experience?
Ladakh experience was brilliant. I spent a lot of time with the monks. I had breakfast with them, prayed with them, meditated with them. I think it was just, I met the Rinpoche. I was very, very, very fortunate to meet the Rinpoche.
I don't know about that.
The Rinpoche is like the equivalent of the Dalai Lama.
Okay.
To the lay region.
Wow. Okay.
So he spoke to us about how we should be compassionate. He spoke to us about a lot of negative emotions such as jealousy.
Okay.
Inconsiderate towards other human beings. He spoke about that. He spoke about desire.
Wow. Wait, hold on. I want to talk more about being inconsiderate to another human being, because I would like to think that for broadly, out of 100, maybe 90% of the time, I am aware of things around me and trying my best not to do something inconsiderate or mean to somebody else around me. And the world that we live in today, unfortunately, globally, not just in India, people have become so mean just to another individual, like for nothing. There's just mean. I used to ask my friends, I was like, imagine a world where everybody means well, like maybe closest maybe to Japan, where people don't steal on the roads, but that's a different story. It's a little hypocritical in its way, but what did you learn about being considerate to another human being?
So I think there's a lot to take from that, and the challenge with being considerate is that it's very subjective. Like if I'm very kind to you, from my perspective, I'm being the nicest person to you, but from your perspective, I'm being really mean to you.
Yeah.
So I think being considerate and being inconsiderate is a very, very fine line, very subjective.
Okay.
So the way I've deciphered it in my head finally, and I made peace with this as a concept, is I've said, as long as you are treating someone the way you would be happy to be treated, that's enough.
Okay.
Because what you believe and what they believe need not necessarily be the same.
Is this going back into the whole karma equation, where like what you give is what you get back?
In a way, yeah. But I'm just saying that I think the way we perceive kindness is different as human beings. What may be kind to you may not be kind to me.
Sure.
Right? So I think if you and you can't keep everybody happy.
And then I think, sorry, directly relates to expectations too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have expectations from the world, right? You have a manual, you have a book of expectations where
even without knowing what that book is supposed to say.
Yeah. So it's difficult, right? So for me, the universal rule is treat people the way you would like to be treated. I think that's it.
Okay.
Regardless of who the person is, and that's it. Because and then after that, if the other person thinks you're still not kind to them, I'm sorry, but I think that's their problem. Because as long as you are in your heart coming out of a place of purity, and you are saying that I'm treating you exactly the way I would be very happy to be treated by somebody.
But what if you're on the other side? What if you get treated not so nice as what you're giving in? How do you respond to that?
So it depends on the situation, right? It's important to understand that you control how you feel.
Yeah.
I love using this example. I want to digress for a second to talk about this. So assume you and I have been friends for many, many years, right?
Yeah.
And assume that you were traveling, you were on a business trip, and I was in Bangalore.
Okay.
And assume I died. Right?
Okay.
And you had no idea about this.
Okay.
How would you feel about it?
Well, knowing about it afterward.
No, you had no idea.
Nothing. I wouldn't.
Right? You wouldn't feel a thing about it.
Yeah.
A week later, you come back to India and you just come out, I've died.
Yeah.
And I'm being a friend for years. How would you feel about it?
Heartbroken. Yeah.
You'd be heartbroken, right? And so this is very interesting.
So it's about knowledge, what you are aware of.
It's about your perception.
So
any external event in our life has no bearing on us. Zero bearing.
If you don't know about it.
Me dying had no bearing on you. You had no clue. You're blissfully unaware. So it's not the event of my death that upsets you.
Yeah.
It is your perception,
knowing
your
of it,
knowledge, and then therefore your perception of the event that happens in the world that causes you to feel a certain way.
So if you blank out such events,
I'm just saying hypothetically, if you blank out, you will not feel the emotion. You will not feel any emotion, positive or negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the best way to be, or maybe
no,
it is.
That is not what I'm propagating at all.
Okay.
I think, in fact, I'm saying quite the opposite. I'm saying that it's
digest it, sink it, and
absolutely.
we come to terms with
Absolutely. I think that, you know, everyone is chasing happiness, thinking happiness is an emotion. It's not an emotion. I call happiness a state of being. I say that happiness is the ability to be able to express and feel every emotion, positive and negative. I feel like our life is
so can you be happy while going through something sad?
When I say happiness, when I talk about happiness, I'm not talking about happiness as an emotion, right? And I don't think it's healthy or even appropriate for someone to be happy throughout their lives.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I have a couple of very, very interesting reasons on this. The first one is, if you are happy throughout your life, and you never feel anything negative, how will you even know you're happy? If you are this way all through your life, you'll never be able to appreciate the value of it.
Sure.
What makes a happiness appreciable is the fact that you feel sadness and then you have these ups and downs, right? That's what you regard as happiness. The fact that you have felt unhappiness redefines the meaning of happiness. That's the first concept, right? The second thing I always say is, happiness is not an emotion. For me, it's a state of being, because I think that happiness means your ability to express every human emotion that you can.
Sure.
Right? And that includes negative emotions.
So that's what I'm asking. If you're going through something, I don't want to use the word unhappy, but let's say you're going through something sad or something negative, can you be happy while you go through that?
You can't be happy
like
as an emotion,
sense,
but you can be happy as a being, because you're experiencing every emotion, and it's important to soak that emotion in, feel it for what it is, understand why you feel that way, and accept the emotion. You know, I feel like people have a challenge with negative emotions, not because of the emotion. They have a challenge with negative emotion because they spend so much time resisting the emotion. You resist the emotion, therefore it becomes overwhelming for you. But if you actually accept the emotion, like you accept heartbreak, you accept sadness, you accept depression for what it is, and you soak the feeling in, you understand what are the thoughts behind every emotion. I believe that every emotion is caused by a thought. You'll never have an emotion without a thought, right? The same example of death, you must have been heartbroken as an emotion because you thought about all the sad things that, oh, I can never meet Vivek again, I can never go out with him, I can never hang out with him, you know, I can never have dinner with him. And those emotions is what caused the heartbreak, those thoughts, right? So it's always a thought which causes an emotion. So to every emotion you feel, if you are able to accept it for what it is, and that is by understanding the thoughts behind it. You know, going into your mind and saying, okay, what is it that's really causing me to feel the way I'm feeling right now? I think when you do that, when you accept the emotion for what it is, I think life becomes so beautiful. Your ability to recover from that emotion is faster. You're able to see the big picture. You're able to see so much beyond that emotion, and you're able to truly experience that wonderful emotion.
But it's like, how do you practice to come to that state of maturity, or that, maybe, I don't know if I can use the word.
I call it emotional maturity, right? Because we grow up as adults, we reach 18, we take out responsibilities, but do we really mature emotionally? It's emotional maturity, and the way to reach that is, you know, through adopting the tools of coaching. And I'm not saying everybody should be coached, but you can do it on your own. Like, you know,
practice it on your own, of course.
I would say the fundamental thing is thought monitoring. Look at your own thoughts. Spend time understanding your thoughts. Don't just assume that life happens to you. Life doesn't happen to you. You know, you make life happen for yourself.
You take the actions in your life.
Circumstances don't define how you feel. You define how you feel. People around you don't define how you feel. You define how you feel, right? I always believe that. So you have to take life into your own hands.
It's like how some people would take the same situation that happened to you very casually and with a smile on their face, versus somebody who might get destroyed for the same situation or something.
No, I mean, I've had negative things happen to me, and I have been destroyed at certain points in my life, and I feel like, you know, you recover from them, and that's the beauty, right? The beauty about breaking is you can rebuild to whatever you want to be. I always look at that.
But how do you start? No, so like, I know, like, I've been in that situation as well. But how do you get back on track? How do you be like, yeah, I need to start working in the positive? How do I reconstruct myself to become something better than what I was?
Exactly the way you broke. You broke one, and then everything fell apart like a domino. You pick one up. I call it the reverse domino effect. People things start picking up. You set
wow, that's interesting. What is that?
You set incremental goals, right? So you, I always believe, which is why I go back to the point I made earlier. You have to have multiple avenues. I call them multiple avenues of happiness. In my book, I refer to this concept. Right? Where I say that you should have multiple things going on in your life which give you immense happiness.
Okay.
Because you won't have things always won't go your way in every department of life.
Absolutely.
There will be ups and downs, there will be challenges.
Absolutely.
But your ability to deal with these challenges significantly improves if you're able to, I'm not saying ignore that and look at something else,
So
but looking at the other aspects will give you the strength to deal with that.
Is it playing probability with the odds? Like, it's like I'll try to throw in multiple boxes. And
in a way, yes, but also it's more of diversifying your risks is what I mean. Like an investment portfolio, right? You invest in 10 companies, one does well, two do well, and the remaining maybe not so much, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same with this. You put yourself in 10 things, put your time into 10 things. You will find a couple of things which give you immense happiness, a couple of things which are neutral to you, and a couple which are really, really negative to you. Right?
By that, I think you'll get a lot of experience and practice as well. So over time, you may not even need those boxes. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are so averse to negative experiences, but they don't realize that negative experiences is what really changes us. It's what really teaches us the lessons we need to learn.
Because the positive is it's like
positivity.
No real groundbreaking or life-changing paths.
It's something we tried and it worked.
Yeah.
So what's the learning? The learning is okay. This works fine.
Yeah.
But negative gives you so much of learning.
Yeah.
Why didn't it work?
Yeah.
Can it work if we do it differently?
Yeah.
What is the exact point? Because we deem the entire thing to be a failure. It may not be. It may be one step in that which was a failure. Maybe one person in that which was a failure.
Yeah.
But the process is not wrong, right? It doesn't mean it's wrong. For example, long distance relationships.
Sure.
If we want to look for evidence that long distance relationships fail, we can find it in the world.
Yeah.
If you want to look for evidence that long distance relationships succeed, you can find it in the world.
Yeah.
It's how you want to look at it, right?
Sure.
So
what you think in your mind can be made reality.
It's what you believe. And a belief is nothing but a thought which you have again and again and again until it's completely ingrained into your mind as universal gospel truth.
Yeah.
So it's all about what you believe.
Do you believe in the ways of the universe? And have you I don't know, there are many things if you believe in it, the universe starts working to make it a reality and that kind of a concept.
That question. So I believe that, but not for the simple mystical universe. I believe that when we truly believe that we're going to get to some place or do something in our lives or achieve something, I believe what happens is we create those emotions that we need to elevate to the next level. I need to explain this slightly more. Let me try this. So, for example, if I want to achieve something wonderful in my life, I want to influence maximum people, right?
Sure.
So, to influence maximum people for my goal, I need to be willing to feel a certain way right now. I need to feel the abundance. So if we spoke about scarcity and abundance, right? I need to feel that abundance of emotion for me to be... So it's like this. If I want to get to somewhere from where I am right now, I believe that the one sure way of getting there is I'm here right now, I want to get here. I put myself in this place in my head.
Okay.
And I say, if I get here, what would be the emotions I feel?
Okay.
And I create those emotions when I'm here right now.
Okay.
And when I create those emotions here, which are here right now, what happens to me is I am able to evolve as a person.
Okay.
That I need to evolve to get to this level. Because when we set a goal,
you start living that way.
You start living that way.
You start taking actions in that way.
You start taking action in that way, and therefore the universe conspires for you to make it happen. And that's where the whole law of the...
Because you're doing it first.
You're doing it first.
And
you're feeling the emotion. You're feeling the emotion that you need to feel in the future to get there. You're feeling it right now. Therefore, the emotions you feel drive your actions. So you take the right actions today to get to where you want to be in the future, and then you get there. Right? It's like this. When you set a goal, you always set a goal which, if you're setting a goal which you can achieve, which you know you can achieve easily, you're not dreaming big enough. If you set a goal which is scaring you when you think about it, that's when you know the goal is big enough. Right? And that goal, it scares you because you know to get there, you need to be a fundamentally more evolved human being than what you are right now. Right? But to fundamentally evolve as a human being, you need to have a different emotional makeup in your heart.
You need to start adding those skills to you.
Adding those skills. And how you add those skills is by feeling those emotions you would feel when you get to your goal. You feel those emotions in advance right now, you would automatically elevate your actions and you would automatically do things you need to do to get out of your comfort zone, feel that discomfort, break past it, get on with it and achieve your goals.
Absolutely.
So that's where I believe it does happen. You know, the universe and the concept does exist, but I feel like it's been distorted. The way we look at it is probably different.
It's because of too much of confusing...
It's too much information. Everyone trying to make everything too concise for people to read, because of which the meaning is lost. Same with the Gita, right? You read the entire thing, there's so much to learn. I'm actually in the process of reading it right now.
Okay.
The more you read, the more you understand. I feel like the summary of the Mahabharata, if you read a summary of it, just knowing the story, it's not going to give you the lessons. The lessons are in the intricacies of the story. The more you get into detail, the more you learn about it.
So it's like, I have very funny thoughts on the Mahabharata and Ramayana. Bhagavad Gita, I have to read it. I've not read it yet. I've read parts of it. But Mahabharata and Ramayana, I think these are two books that like everyone should read them only to know what you shouldn't be. I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense. I think Mahabharata talks about it's the human nature, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
the positive and the negative.
Yeah. What I could take of the book was like, oh my God, every character is flawed.
Every character.
Except for the role of Karna's. It's like for me, I would think like that's the most ideal way. And if you are trying to be the ideal person, what happens to you at the end of the day in today's world? Is that you get killed.
I believe that an ideal person is who you define yourself to be. I don't think anyone can ever be perfect, right? Because even if you think you're perfect, to convince everybody else in the world that you're perfect, all the best with that.
And you don't need to. I think you don't need to convince anyone.
As long as you think that you are, constantly trying to be the best person you can be.
Absolutely.
That's all that counts.
And keep adding, keep growing at it.
Growth mindset, always.
Yeah.
I think most people assume that when we finish education, we stop learning.
Yeah.
I think that's when we start our lives.
Absolutely.
Because education is theory. Your life starts when education ends.
So like I was saying, like I didn't learn anything till I graduated from like Purdue.
Me too.
And my whole life learning started once I started living.
Absolutely.
So great. Thank you so much, Vivek. It was, we spoke a lot, but still I think we just scratched the surface. But I really wish that we sit in the future again. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to discuss.
I think that the 1 hour wasn't enough. I feel like we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg for me. There's one thing I want to cover before I do this. There's one concept which I find truly refreshing. Right? I want to spend a couple of minutes on this concept.
Sure.
It's a concept of unconditional love. I was reading about this recently, and I read about it in a very different way, and my interpretation is extremely different. And here's one I want to throw this out to you. Okay?
Sure.
So as a parting thought to people.
Yeah.
So when we can you think of one person you hate?
Right now?
Don't tell me.
No,
yes.
Right now, I don't have anyone.
Okay.
I did have some time back where I thought, I truly thought, I really wanted to like break that person's head.
Okay.
I have like that much of hatred. But then after this whole concept of this dead body thing, right? I actually put it in my mind and I'm trying to practice it. I'm like, no matter what happened, I'm done with it. I'm going to concentrate on the present.
Perfect.
So,
okay.
But
okay, like, so let's say if you go back to your past.
Let's say I have someone.
Right? And now think of someone you truly love.
Yeah.
Right. So if I were to come and tell you that hey Vamsi, I met this person A who you truly hate, right?
Yeah.
And I say that this person said something to me, and I don't know. I think this person meant harm. I think there was some malice in that statement.
Yeah.
What would be your initial jump to conclusion reaction?
Yeah, damn right.
I think you're right.
Damn right. That's what I thought anyway.
Yeah, absolutely right. So in effect, we are actually hanging this person without trial.
Absolutely.
In a way, right? But let's take a second example. Person 2.
Yeah.
I come to you and say, hey, Vamsi, person 2, person you love. Said this to me, and I don't think this person meant it in the right way. What do you think?
It's like, no way. Of course she meant it the right way. You
want to give them the benefit of doubt, right?
Yeah.
So it's so interesting. The concept is profound, right? The concept here is when you love someone, you always take from them what you think to be the best. You
the best of them.
And the sad part, what we don't realize is when you hate someone and you take it to be negative, the only person you're actually harming is yourself. Because you're feeling a negative emotion about that person.
Inside you.
Yeah, inside you. And you're the one dealing with it.
Yeah.
But if you could synthesize a feeling of love towards people around you, everyone around you, and the people you don't like, right? Like you have done, which is great. Then no matter what this person says to you, you're always going to take it in the way that this person loves you and you love this person, and this is great. And this is fine. Because I feel like a lot of times, we hurt ourselves for ourselves. Like based on our interpretation, based on how we choose to interpret
you want to go through that emotion.
Yeah. Because we hate them so much that we want everything they say to be wrong. Right? And we want to assume that whatever they say is like the worst thing they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's the worst way of interpreting it. And we interpret it in the worst possible way, thereby causing pain to ourselves. Right? So the concept I'm going to talk about this a lot more in my book and in everything, and maybe a blog post in the future, but the concept is on unconditional love.
Okay.
And I talk about, I'm also going to talk about how you can synthesize this.
So tell me about that. What is unconditional love?
So unconditional love is exactly this, where you can synthesize a feeling of love towards people, everybody around you. Because firstly, it's
not just one individual.
Everybody around you.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to love someone than to hate them. It takes less energy for you to love someone than to hate them.
Yeah.
The emotions you feel are more positive when you love someone as compared to hate them. And when you love someone and that you formerly hated, when you hate someone initially, your actions towards them will be in that manner that you hate them. It'll be very evident that you hate them, right? And therefore, even they will do things to you which make you.
They'll reciprocate in the same manner. Yeah.
But say, for example, you and I hate each other. We absolutely hate each other. We have business rivals, bitter rivals. You know, I steal your secret, you steal my secrets, and everything, right? And tomorrow, I just come and change my entire behavior towards you. I actually synthesize a feeling of love towards you.
I'll get confused.
You will be confused. You'll
be zapped. I'll be like.
Exactly. And you would actually, this will actually be a trigger point for you to change the way you look at me.
Okay.
And actually this, so this unconditional love feeling, it also sorts out relationships which are broken. So it's so interesting how powerful this concept is.
So up to how much can you keep reinforcing something positive when somebody is being negative towards you?
When somebody is being negative to you, it's an external event. You choose what you make of it. How you feel about somebody is governed.
Let's say I come with a knife and trying to stab you.
Okay.
And still be like, yeah, Vivek, I want to kill you. I was like, I hate you. How would you react to an emotion like that?
I'll say, you hate me, that's your problem. Why do you hate me? I'll ask them, why you hate me?
Yeah.
He'll have his reasons. And I'll say, I don't feel that way about you.
I don't care.
I don't feel that way about you. That's the first thing I'll say. And
by
saying that itself, most people will be on the back foot.
Okay.
Because they would expect that I hate them back for stabbing me, right? But if I say I don't hate you for stabbing me, it's fine. Yeah.
Actually, I got on the back foot as soon as you said, why do you hate me? I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, right? I didn't expect that emotion first.
No one expects that. And that's the sad part, right? But the second you do it, people are on the back foot. And they are also trying to be, when they see that you are a better person, I think, just like everything else in the world, it's contagious.
Yeah.
Then they see that you're trying to be a better person, they will want to be a better person. 9 out of 10 times. I can guarantee this to you.
Unless they're like totally rotten and then
in which case you lose nothing still, right? Because you still love them. Why would you, if they are totally rotten and they're not going to change, you holding a negative emotion towards them is only going to bring you sadness. If you just love them,
it's going to mess your life up. It's going to mess your mind up, not his. Yeah. His is anyway messed up.
The problem is when we hate someone, we think we're teaching them a lesson. Actually, the only person we're teaching a lesson to is ourselves when we hate someone, because we feel the negative emotion.
It's like I read this somewhere. It's like by hating someone, you're giving them a rent-free space in your mind.
Yes.
Like,
and you don't have to be there, right? Why should they be there? You should be focusing on your goals, on your aspirations, on your dreams, on people you love. Why on them?
But like adding some value to somebody who means well to you rather than like concentrating on something.
Exactly.
Wow.
I think that is a very powerful concept, because that kind of solves a lot of problems we have in the world today. If people could just use it, and I wish they could. And I coach. A lot of people I coach, I teach them this concept.
How do you coach? I mean, I didn't get to that, but how do you like get to that whole process of coaching? So
I understand what exactly the people want, the people who I coach, what they want. And I work very specifically with them on goals, on the goals they want to achieve. If their goal, if they have a relationship issue with a family member or a significant other.
How do people reach out to you?
So my website. So I'm extremely active on Instagram now, which I have to be for what I'm doing, like I said earlier. So, I post something almost every other day.
And you never know who gets touched or inspired by any random post of yours.
I've had a person I'm coaching, which I didn't even know her. I haven't met her in years, and she reached out to me through LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn as well now. She messaged me saying, hey, can you coach me? And I said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Right?
So it's like, how does somebody ask you, like based on what kind of post, like?
So I post on, I post on happiness, I post on goals, I post on balance.
Yeah, I've seen those, but like just randomly reach out to you saying.
Yeah, I have a link to my website, right? And my blog post the links to my website. So if you open my website, you'll see that the first section talks about how I'm a life coach. And I also have a section in the bottom of the website saying you can reach out to me. Yeah, I'm not actively marketing it right now, which is something I probably have to work on.
Yeah, you should probably do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this video will be the first step.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm so happy. So like, you should totally promote this. And I'm so happy that this is like going to be the first platform, like official platform that you can actually.
This is my first video platform.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, for the opportunity.
No, absolutely.
It was great. I was very happy to be here, and I really love your office, by the way. I should
absolutely. Tell you that. Thank you so much. And I learned a lot, I must say, Vivek. And I've been following you since the last time we met at the Park Hyatt Hotel, and I've been following you regularly, and I'm trying to keep in touch, but you know how the whole crazy thing is.
Let's stay in touch now. I mean, we have each other all over the place. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope to do more with you in the future.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.